Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. I'm Frank Granito and I'm joined on this Thursday in studio by Kevin Coleman. Kevin, how are you doing this afternoon?
Frank, I'm doing well. Coming off a fun day at Waverly Park yesterday, the cross-country championships. We had a good time.
We had an absolute blast. We were there all afternoon. It was a lot of fun. You got to do some soccer earlier this week here too at the network. You're becoming a regular face around here now.
I think I'm okay with that, as long as you're okay with it.
Of course. But we've got a big show for today, Kevin. Obviously, we've got football coming up this weekend, the Marinelli Bowl, which we'll talk about, and we're going to recap the cross-country championships from yesterday as well. But before we get to that, let's bring in our guest. We are happy now to be joined by Dave Rudin of the Rudin Report. Dave, welcome back. How are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing well, Frank. Kevin, it's good talking to you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Always fun having you on, Dave, and we couldn't think of a better week to bring you back. We've obviously going to just go right into it now. We've got Marinelli Bowl 2 coming up. I think, in my opinion, Dave, this one has a little bit more of a storyline to it because Johnny Marinelli is going to make his return to New Canaan.
I agree with you. In fact, I'm writing up my weekend game plan right now to put online in a little bit. And I think that actually is the game's getting overshadowed. And the Marinelli Bowl was a big deal last year because it was the first time a father going against son, and very successful father going against very promising son in terms of being a head coach. This year there's an element to that because you have Johnny coming back to New Canaan, which is where he got his start in football and played there. He actually told me a story last night. He may have scored the first touchdown in the history at Dunning Field. But really what is getting lost in this narrative and what makes the game even bigger is you have two really good teams right now. And the way Greenwich has been playing, I think a lot of people are going in and feel that Greenwich has a legitimate chance of winning this game.
I agree with that thought process. Obviously, it was a 10-point game last year, and Johnny had a very good game plan to go against the Rams. You were at Greenwich's game last weekend when they played Trumbull. That was a huge game for the Cardinals with state implications. They won 42-32. From what you saw, Dave, how is this Greenwich team different to the one that we saw against Darien in Week 3?
I don't know if they're different. I think they learned a lot from that game, just in terms of the way they've been playing. I think they got a lot of confidence off that loss because they realized that they went toe-to-toe, and for a good part of the game played evenly with the number one team in the state. So if they got anything from the game, I think it was really confidence. But I give John credit. I think everybody came in there and said, look what he did at New Canaan. You're going to see a team that passes the ball 70 times a game, and it's going to be wide open, and you're never going to have seen an aerial attack like this. And Johnny's really played to the strengths of the team, and that's been running the ball almost about 42% of the time so far. Obviously, when you have Kevin Iobi on the team, you're going to run the ball a lot, but he's been playing to his strengths. And I think the defense has played a lot better. The defense has been underappreciated, I think. They're giving up 28 points a game, and you say, well, you're giving up 28 points a game. You're not playing that well. But when you're playing against the teams in the spread offense, Trumbull's and Darien, that put up points a lot, I think you got to take points allowed with a grain of salt.
Hey, Dave, going into this game, New Canaan, obviously, the front runners in this one sitting at 5-0. What does the Greenwich Cardinals need to do to be successful tomorrow night?
I literally just wrote this sentence at the end of my write-up of the game. I really think it's going to come down to New Canaan's defense against Greenwich's offense. It's interesting. You say New Canaan and you think of quarterback high, and you think of all the great quarterbacks that have played there, going all the way back to Kurt Casale years, and they've just produced a steady line of great quarterbacks. And their offense has been very good, and Drew Pine keeps getting better, the freshman, each game at quarterback. But their defense has really been unbelievable. They've given up 48 points all season, and 21 of those came against Ridgefield. And you've got guys that are on all ends of the field just really playing shutdown defense. So Greenwich's strength, I know Johnny thinks the defense has been better than the offense. I think the offense has been a little bit better than the defense. Connor Langen at quarterback for Greenwich has improved with each game, and they have enough of a passing attack that you can't put 8 players in the box to try to stop Greenwich. I still think it's going to come down to how New Canaan's defense plays, and they've been playing really, really well so far.
And Dave, I'm glad you brought up Connor Langen and the New Canaan defense, and I think this might be the best New Canaan defense we've seen since that 2008 team that went undefeated. They surrendered 90 points on the year. They're playing at that kind of a level right now. They already have 14 interceptions, so turnovers are there. But most importantly, they get a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. How does Connor Langen handle that pressure? Because we've seen him throw up some questionable passes this year with the blitz in his face.
That's a very good point. You know, I don't know if we really know how Connor's going to make out it when he sees that kind of pressure. New Canaan's got 10 sacks so far, but I don't know that we have stats for how many hits, how many pressures. I'm sure that number is considerably higher, and those are just as important as sacks. So he's going to see a lot of guys coming at him. Greenwich's offensive line has played really well, but I'm not sure that they did get tested against Darien, and they struggled at times and did well at times. And I think this is going to be pretty similar. And I think Connor has to just control the game, not try to force things. There may be sometimes you have to throw the ball away and regroup rather than take a sack, and he's going to have to be able to do that. And a lot's going to depend, again, on whether Greenwich is going to be able to run the ball effectively. If they do that, then it's going to make it a little bit easier for them to pass the ball.
Well, Dave, we're talking about Greenwich's offense. Do you think New Canaan's defense is going to try and focus on Iobi and make Connor Langen throw the ball instead?
I think so. At least initially, that would make the most sense. I mean, you want to neutralize the best player on the field for Greenwich, and that's Kevin Iobi. So I think right now your strategy is make somebody else beat you. And Greenwich has some good wide receivers, but as you pointed out, and it's a stat that hasn't been mentioned enough, the 14 interceptions right now by New Canaan, and Jackson Appelt in particular gets overshadowed, leading the team with 4. So I think your number one on the game plan is taking Iobi out of there. Because he's their biggest weapon, and try to make somebody else beat you.
And now looking at the other side, Dave, you've got the freshman Drew Pine. Had his first start against Ridgefield, but I think we can say this is the first really big game that Pine's going to get to play in. How does the freshman handle that kind of pressure now?
I don't think we know the answer to that yet, because he really hasn't been in a game or in a situation like that. He hasn't been in a game that's been hyped up like that. Like this game is getting hyped up. So not just in terms of his on-field, but all the hoopla around this. We really don't know. I think one thing that's interesting, and I was thinking about this, is obviously John Marinelli has played an important part in New Canaan being quarterback high as an offensive coordinator and working with the quarterbacks and developing them. So if you're able to make quarterbacks better, how are you going to do on the other end and try to neutralize an opposing quarterback? You would think if you know how to make a quarterback better, you could probably think the other way and try to make an opposing quarterback do things that he doesn't want to do. So to me, that's going to be interesting, is what kind of looks is the Greenwich defense going to show? What is defensive coordinator Brian Hochter going to come up with? I think that's going to be interesting too. I'm kind of curious to see what kind of formations we see the Greenwich defense in, at least at the outset tomorrow night.
Hey Dave, are there any players tomorrow that we should look out for that are flying under the radar?
Definitely James Freyer on defense for New Canaan. I don't know if he's operating underneath the radar or not, but he's just having a great season. I've been to 2 New Canaan games, and he's played exceedingly well, dominated in both of them. So I think he's one player that you have to keep an eye on. Jackson Appelt is another player that I mentioned. Grant Morse, who's done a great job on defense for New Canaan. those are underneath the radar. Greenwich, the offensive line, I think the receivers, Anthony Ferraro, Ty Ferris, and Morganti, they've played very well as well. And I think they're going to be factors in the game as well. And you're going to have to keep an eye on them because their play has helped make Iobi such a better player as well, more effective because there's the threat of a passing game.
Dave, we've got you for about another minute here. I want to give you a chance. I think another great game that's going to almost be overshadowed this weekend is Staples heading to Tiger Hollow to play Ridgefield. There's a lot of bad blood going back to last season where the Tigers beat the Wreckers but missed out on the playoffs, but also Ridgefield coming off a disappointing loss against Trinity. What are your thoughts on that game?
You know what? I'm really, really sorry both these games are tomorrow because I would love to see both games. I was up at Tiger Hollow during the preseason, and Ridgefield bristles at being known last year as the team that was 7 and best team to not make the state playoffs at 7-2. And what really, really irritates them is they beat Staples, and because of the bonus point system, Staples ended up qualifying for the state playoffs, and Ridgefield just missed out. So even though Ridgefield beat Staples, in a sense, they're looking at this as a revenge game. They want to beat them again. It's going to be interesting because it's really a contrast in styles. Ridgefield's more effective passing the ball. We may see the return of Drew Fowler. Not sure yet. Obviously, that opens things up for the Tigers' passing attack. The Greg Gatto has played very well. And Staples runs the ball extremely well. The Staples offensive line has definitely operated underneath the radar. They just run the ball well. So you have a contrast in styles, and you have a Ridgefield team that is trying to avenge a victory, in a sense, from last year.
And it's a Ridgefield team now that is really pushed with their backs against the wall. Those 2 losses, they most likely have to win out again to make the postseason. But, Dave, I want to thank you for coming on with us today. Always fun talking with you, and we're looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night down at Dunning Field in New Canaan.
Nope, I appreciate you having me on as always, and I look forward to seeing you, and have a great show tomorrow.
Thanks, Dave. Again, that was Dave Rudin of the Rudin Report. Kevin and I are going to step aside here quickly. When we get back, we're going to have highlights and recap of the cross-country championships yesterday from Waveney Park right here on the HAN Network.
1, 2, 3, Abby, you know! I want to find out how good I am. Yes, sir! If you relax, you get blown out. Let's get it done! Let's get it done!
What can you take advantage of right now?
Again, come on. I can push myself way beyond what you think.
Pressure technique. Bring it back.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram, car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Ends October 31st.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well, bank smart, bank local, bank well.
Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
When it comes to local entertainment, we've got it all.
From movies, local artists, etiquette, and more.
Watch HAN Arts and Leisure with me, Steve Coulter, and our Arts and Leisure editor, Sally Sanders, Mondays at 12:30, right here on the HAN Network.
Give your day a jumpstart with the latest news, sports, weather, and more on Coffee Break, live on the HAN Network, weekdays at 11 a.m. Connecticut news doesn't get any more local than on Coffee Break.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman in studio today as we're going to take a look back at our live coverage from Waveney Park in New Canaan yesterday for the 2016 FCAC Cross Country Championships. And Kevin, it was a lot of fun to be a part of the Cross Country Championships yesterday, but clearly the story of the day, the Staples boys and the Ridgefield girls.
Oof, the boys, the Wreckers, they really impressed me, and the Ridgefield girls, I mean, they just have such a strong program after all these years. It's amazing to see it year after year. They're just still so good.
And it was at all three levels yesterday for the Ridgefield girls. They had the clean sweep for team champions in freshman, JV, and varsity. The Staples boys, though, like you said, impressive. They won the varsity boys race by a score of 27-61 over the Danbury Hatters. They had 4 of the top 7 finishers in that race. It was a dominating performance from Staples.
It really was, and actually someone that really impressed me who we had on to interview was Megan McCormick. I mean, talk about her performance. That was stellar.
She came over and talked with us, and we thought that she was going to get ready to run a whole nother race. We have interviews with the 2 individual champions, but before we get to that, let's read the results from the varsity races, and we'll start with the varsity boys race. Zach Ahmad of Staples was the individual champion with a time of 15:49. Will Brisman from Fairfield Ward finished in second with a time of 16:11. And Terrell Cunningham from Danbury with a time of 16:14 was in third. The top 3 teams were Staples, Danbury, and Trumbull. For the girls, it was Wilton's Morgan McCormick, the junior, who finished with a time of 14:36 in first. The freshman Zoe Harris from Greenwich with a time of 14:53 was the runner-up. And Caitlin Romanchik of Trumbull with a time of 14:57. Finishing in third, Ridgefield wins the girls' team event with 50 points, Greenwich 79 in second, and Wilton comes in third with 87 points. We have interviews with the 2 individual champions. Let's take a look at those right now. We are joined by the boys' individual winner, Zach Ahmad of Staples. Zach, first of all, congratulations. What an incredible race. You finished with a time of 15:48. Let's start, though, with asking, it's obviously very hot today. What kind of a role did the heat play on the runners?
I mean, it was definitely a rough day. I could feel it from like the first mile in, and it was just really hot. I mean, FCX is usually a hot race, but this one felt particularly tough. But yeah.
Zach, tell us a little bit about the course. You really blew away the field. There was almost 10 to 15 seconds between you and the second place finisher. Was your strategy from the start that you were just going to go full go, start to finish?
Yeah, I was going to try and go out pretty hard and see who'd stick on me and just kind of see what happened there. And if they're with me in the last mile, I'd kind of try and break through. But yeah, there weren't too many people behind me, so I just felt like I could kind of cruise. So.
You made it look very easy. Let's talk about the Wreckers team now, because while you won the race not far behind you within the top 10, we thought that we saw at least 3 or 4, maybe even 5 more Wreckers players. You guys obviously had an undefeated regular season, but this would be a statement performance if you came out and finished with this many runners in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, that was our goal going in. I knew we would try and see how many people we get in the top 10. And like our probably 4 to 6 guys have just been switching apart the entire time. And then to see like different people up in the top 10 even was just insane. It was so cool.
Well, you guys have got the girls' race coming up now. You get a little bit of a cool down here with the boys. You get to enjoy that race. Let's look ahead now that FCACs are over for you guys. State Opens will be coming up, states as well. Is this team going to go all the way this year?
I mean, that's the goal, I think. I mean, we've been up with Danbury like the entire year. It's like we don't know who's going to, show up at FCACs. And I think we're both really strong. I think we're going to definitely make a push. And I think we proved it today that we can be state champions again.
Was there any kind of team psychology today going in? Where would you say I'm going to try and go out right away and take the lead?
Yeah, I mean, with the team we were just talking about, we kind of have to win this. It's something we want so much. Everyone, I mean, no one really had specific goals except to win as a team, and I think that's what we did. Everyone ran like it today. We were talking before the race, and I think it showed.
You guys looked awesome from start to finish. Again, so many in the top 10. Zach, you were tremendous. A time of 15:48. You're the 2016 boys FCAC individual champion. Congratulations again.
Yeah, thank you.
And we are joined with the 2016 Girls Varsity Individual Cross Country Champion. She is Morgan McCormick of the Wilton Warriors. Morgan, congratulations. A great race by you today. Did the heat play a factor? We were a little worried about it today coming into the races.
Well, it's rather ironic because always the day after FCX for the past 2 years, it's been progressively cooler. So today's like the last day with heat, and then tomorrow it's like 60s. So the whole team was a little worried about that, but I think we did really well.
Now, Morgan, you're only a junior. Talk about the preparation for the offseason and how you got here. And, I mean, the score you made today was incredible.
Well, I actually did soccer and tennis my freshman year, and then I did cross country and track all 3 seasons last year, and that's what I'm going to continue doing.
We were talking off the air quickly, Morgan. Last year, your first year of cross country, you finished 11th in this race with a time of 15:29. You came back this year and beat it by almost 40 seconds on your way to capping off an undefeated FCX season. What's been the difference for you this year that's made you so comfortable out there?
Well, I actually focused on nutrition, and that's really helped me. And then the team has been training pretty hard, and we've been encouraging each other, so we're pretty confident as a team going into it. And I would just like to mention that the freshman from Greenwich came in second. It was pretty impressive. Yeah.
So, Morgan, now as you head off to the state tournament, the state opens in the postseason, what will your preparation and training be like that over the next week or so?
Well, I think that the whole team has we've reached our probably like fitness max. So probably just a lot of rest days and maybe some training during the week. Nothing too much. But I think we're more distance-based. So, and Wickham's a pretty tough course. So it should be fun in that it's distance, but it's a really challenging course. So.
Getting pretty breezy in here. You look like you could have used that breeze on the track.
Yeah, that was nice.
Morgan, thank you so much for taking time with us. Congratulations again. So congrats again to Morgan and Zach. We'll take one more break here on Nutmeg Sports. When Kevin and I get back, we're going to take a look at the rest of the FCX football schedule for the upcoming weekend right here on the HAN Network.
This is now 44 years I've been in this business. Digital came along. After I was in business for about 6 years, I had to totally reinvent the business. So I had to make a tremendous investment in my business. And Milford Bank was there for me. I don't really just consider Milford Bank a bank. I consider them a trusted partner in my business. My name is Jim Wilson, owner of Milford Photo. I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan, and you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
At InSports Trumbull, the game is always on inside. Recently renovated and home to one of Connecticut's largest indoor turf fields, InSports is a multi-sport recreation center providing state-of-the-art facilities for league play, camps, and youth programs. InSports College Baseball Coaches Camp takes place at InSports on October 23rd from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. This unique limited space event features many of the area's top college baseball coaches who will work with high school players in a hands-on clinic setting as well as evaluate their infield skills. For more information, contact Mike Buswell at InSports, 203-268-1214. Like and follow us on Facebook.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN Network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN Network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Frank Granito and Kevin Coleman in studio as we look at the rest of the FCX football schedule this weekend. Let's start Friday night, Kevin. Central travels to Trumbull. Bridgeport Central 0-5 coming off a 49-22 loss to Norwalk. Trumbull, the disappointing loss against Greenwich. Trumbull's going to bounce back in this one, we think.
I'd like to think so. Johnny McElroy is still such a good quarterback, and it was a heartbreaking loss for the Eagles, but I know they're going to bounce back in this game.
Next game we've got is Trinity sitting at 2-3, traveling to Fairfield Ludlow. Ludlow, another one of those winless teams in the FCAC right now. They actually led Trinity at the half last year, but unfortunately with John Kovac standing off on the side, I think that Trinity's got a little too much for the Falcons to handle right now.
I think so too, and obviously they're going to do a pink out at Ludlow supporting breast cancer awareness, which is really cool to see. But you know what? I'm going to say Ludlow's going to get their first win of the year. So there you go.
You are on the Kate Chaplensky train now, picking Ludlow week in and week out. We go to Darien, 5-0, playing against the winless Danbury Hatters. Darien, again, they will be going without Rob Trefone for another 2 weeks as the suspension was extended. Didn't seem to make a difference last week against McMahon. I don't think it will this week against Danbury.
I don't think it will either. I think this is going to be an easy win for the Blue Wave.
St. Joe's 4-1 travels to Fairfield Ward. Ward coming off their first win of the season, the big comeback, outscoring Harding 30-8 in the second half and overtime. St. Joe's, of course, the win over Wilton 31-15. We had that game on the HAN Network. Can Ward ride this momentum, or does St. Joe's continue to roll?
I think St. Joe's continues to roll. I really like what I saw last weekend out of the Cadets. I thought their offense was really, really good. Really, really impressed by them. I think they're going to continue.
The last Friday game on the schedule, or not including ours, Staples at Ridgefield. This one obviously circled on the calendar. We talked with Dave Rudin about it. Ridgefield bitter over being bumped out of states last year. Staples 5-1. They've got quarterback Andrew Speed back now, and they looked good against Stanford last week. If Ridgefield gets Fowler back, how much of a difference would that make?
It makes a difference, and I think playing at Tiger Hall makes a difference as well. That's a hostile environment to play, but I know they're coming off a very disappointing loss to Trinity, 38-33, and Staples, again, just such a good football program. They're always good. It's going to be a close game. I think we can both agree on that, but I'm going to have to give the edge to my Tigers. I think they're going to edge this one out, but it's going to be a very, very close game.
We look at the Saturday schedule. Stanford 3-2, Wilton 3-2. That game from Fujitani Field. Both teams coming in off of losses. Who do you give the edge to in this one, Kevin?
I'm going to give the edge to Stanford. And I know we've seen Wilton a lot this year, and they have that three-headed monster. Of course, Harvey Alexander is one of them. He's such a strong fullback. But I really like Stanford. I'm going to take them in this game.
I think Tyreek Evans has a big bounce-back game for the Black Knights. They'll ride him most of the night there. The last game on Saturday, Norwalk 3-2 against West Hill 2-3. Norwalk the win over Central coming in. West Hill the win over Ludlow. Holtzclaw for West Hill, that dominating defensive performance. Can he get to the quarterback again, force Kristen Frokaj to make some mistakes, and help the West Hill Vikings out, pull another win out?
I think so. And West Hill is an interesting team. Of course, they have 3 losses on the year, but I think they're going to edge this one out.
We look at the game of the week now, and obviously we'll both be on FCX Tailgate tomorrow. You'll be on us with the call. So let me just ask you quickly now, your first thoughts heading into tomorrow. What does Greenwich have to do to be successful? What does New Canaan have to do to be successful?
For the Cardinals, I think they need to play, mistake-free football. Plain and simple. I think Connor Langan has to have a perfect game. He can't throw interceptions. He can't cause any turnovers. And you also have Kevin Iobi, who is going for an MVP-like year. So it's not the problem with the offense, and it also has to do with the defense for the Cardinals. They have to step up as well. New Canaan proving that they have a good offense as well. And when you look at the Rams, I think they really need to focus on Kevin Iobi. If they can shut him down, the running game down, then I think the Rams are going to have a good day.
Weather could be a factor as well. It looks like it could be raining, possibly windy. Kevin, thanks for coming in today. Looking forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Of course, we'll have coffee break from New Canaan High School at 11 a.m. with Kate Chaplensky. FCAC Tailgate is at 5:15. Kickoff set for 7. We'll go live with pregame coverage at 6:50. All of that right here on the HAN Network.